Hey everyone, ActivesiN here, and today I'm going to give my thoughts on the Xbox Scorpio reveal that we had back on Thursday from Digital Foundry. So, we got the spec reveal from Digital Foundry, and it was just a spec reveal. There was no price, no name, no picture of the Scorpio, and no live gameplay, which was expected because, let's be real, this was Digital Foundry. They do spec analysis, so that's what I had expected. I don't know why you would expect Digital Foundry to be the ones to show off the price and the name and all that stuff. That just wasn't going to happen. Microsoft's going to show that themselves at E3. But anyways, we got the specs and yeah, it's impressive. Microsoft accomplished what they said they were going to do. They made a console with 6 teraflops of power. It can render games at 4K. I'm not going to go too far into the specs, but there's some interesting stuff we can talk about here. It does have 12 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory. That's upgraded from 8 that was on the Xbox One. So 8 of that 12 gigabytes is used for games, and the rest is for the OS, which is how they can handle 4K gaming and 4K game recording, which is why the OS needs some more RAM as well. The CPU seems to be a variant of the Jaguar that was used in the Xbox One, PS4, and the PS4 Pro, but it is running at a faster speed. It seems to be like some evolved version, that's what Digital Foundry said, of the CPU. So it's not a Ryzen CPU, but that's to be expected to keep the cost down at a console price. I think this helps them with backwards compatibility with the Xbox One as well, so that also may be part of the reason. The GPU seems to be similar to the AMD RX 480, slightly more powerful because it does have 40 stream processors and the RX 480 has 36, I believe. So it is like a better version of the RX 480. Solid card. Myself, I'm currently using the RX 470, which is great for 1080p 60 FPS gaming and some 4K gaming as well. They are also doing some interesting stuff with the processor, like they have built DirectX 12 directly on the SoC. So it reduces system calls from 1000 down to 11. So that's pretty cool. That'll help a lot with DirectX 12 games. I don't know if it helps much with DirectX 11. I don't see why it would, but for DirectX 12 games, it should help quite a bit. They're also using a vapor chamber cooling system, which is very interesting. That's something that they use in high-end Founders Edition and video graphics cards like the 1070, 1080, 1080 Ti, all that stuff, which will help it keep a small form factor. Rumor is that the Xbox Scorpio will be the size of the Xbox One S, so that's pretty cool. They didn't show any gameplay, but they did have a screenshot of Forza 6, a tech demo, which they got running on the Xbox Scorpio ported from the Xbox One within 2 days. So that's really impressive. And the game was running at 4K 60 FPS. And there was about 66% of the GPU being used, which is impressive. Obviously there's a lot of headroom left over. Turns out this is without 4K textures though, so when they had turned that on and on ultra mode, the graphics processor went up to 88% usage of the GPUs being used, which is still pretty impressive. They also said that older Xbox One games and Xbox 360 backwards compatibility games will receive an enhancement as well. So if a game was struggling to hit 30 frames per second on Xbox One, like Fallout 4 for example, sometimes hits below 10 FPS, it should be able to hit 30 FPS solid with no problems on the Scorpio. It does not make a game go from 30 FPS up to 60 FPS on its own. The developer would have to go back and patch the game to allow that, similar to the PS4 Pro. Also similar to the PS4 Pro, people who have 1080p TVs are not left in the dust. The game will render in 4K and downsample to 1080p, and you will receive a crisper image on your television, and there should be a performance mode to get 60 FPS if devs take advantage of it. For me personally, I would rather play in 1080p 60 FPS over 4K 30 FPS, so that would be a nice option. So overall, the hardware of the Scorpio I find to be very good, especially if we're talking about consoles. It completely blows the Xbox One, PS4, and even the PS4 Pro out of the water. But at the same time, I personally don't feel like hardware was Microsoft's biggest problem. Their issue this whole generation has been software. They don't have that many must-have exclusive titles. That may change at E3, and hopefully it does, because I do like Microsoft and I want them to produce some amazing games outside of Halo, Forza, Gears over and over. They have Rare, they have several IPs that are just sitting there, so hopefully we get some great stuff like Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, Battletoads, etc. Because you need great software to sell hardware, and stuff like Sea of Thieves, I'm sorry, it doesn't cut it. Sony has been firing on all cylinders lately, and probably isn't going to stop anytime soon. So for people that have a PS4 Pro, or a regular PS4, are they really going to move over to Xbox Scorpio to play the same multi-plat games just because it's in 4K? I don't know, maybe some people will, but I don't think the majority would. Especially if we're talking about people on the Pro, the average person walking to a store isn't going to know the difference between the PS4 Pro and the Scorpio, since they're both being marketed as a 4K console. Even though the Pro usually just uses checkerboard, it's not actual 4K for the most part. They're not going to know the difference. They're going to see two consoles that are marketed as 4K, and the PS4 Pro is going to be at least $100 cheaper than the Xbox Scorpio. So, like, hopefully Microsoft can differentiate themselves with more exclusive titles, because I know they can, because they're freaking Microsoft. They have more money than anybody. So we'll see. I'm expecting a lot from them at this year at E3, because them allowing Digital Foundry to show the Scorpio specs ahead of E3 shows that they're confident. So I feel like they have some good stuff at E3, and we just gotta wait at this point. So let me know what you think about the Scorpio in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you have not done so already, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.